everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel, Talking Dog Stitcher, here on YouTube and over on Instagram as well. Today is Wednesday, the 19th of April, and you are joining me for my Maynia plans / kit parade. Yeah, let's go with that. So, Maynia, this is my first year doing it. I believe it started back in 2015 over on Facebook. That Facebook group is now closed, where members would start 15 projects for the year 2015, and it's just gone from there really. I've seen it on almost every channel, certainly on all of my favourite channels that I watch, and I thought, I don't finish anything anyway, I might as well add more whips to my pile. So I've done a bit of a stash dive, but I've also done a little bit of purchasing. I won't go through everything. I do still have plans to do an April roundup video at the end of the month, and I'll go through all of my purchases and acquisitions, all of my whip updates, life updates, all that kind of stuff in that video. So today is just going to be a bit of a parade of all of the things that I plan to start. I've gone a little bit out of my comfort zone on some of these things. I'm using new fabric dyers that I've never used before. I've got a silk that I'm going to stitch with on one of the projects, which is very exciting. I've got designers that I've never stitched from before. They will probably be all quite familiar to you, but they are new to me. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And for these projects where I'm not using any of the specialty threads, the silks, the gentle arts, anything like that, I won't be using DMC. I am going to be using CXC threads. I know it's a little bit controversial, but for me, I quite like using them. I can't argue with the price of them, and I wouldn't be able to afford to kit up all of these projects if I was having to pay £1 per skein of DMC. So the unfortunate thing with CXC, where I order it from, is it takes a long time to get here. I have had the order placed for a little while now. The current delivery estimate for that is the 27th of May, and some of these projects are entirely dependent on that delivery getting to me. So I have had to put in a couple of substitutions, I suppose, just in case that doesn't arrive until way at the end of the month. So I've got a couple of kits that I will swap in if I need to, if I haven't been able to finish kitting up the rest of these things by then. The majority of them though have all of the colours, or at least a handful of colours that will enable me to at least get a start on it, 2 days worth of stitching, and then the shipment will come in and I'll be able to kit up and stitch wherever I want on the project. So let's get into it. I will be popping pictures up on the screen over here if I don't have a cover photo for you. The first one that I've got, if you've seen over on Instagram, I have posted a little sneak peek of the floss toss that I did for this one. I've been calling it Blueberry Fox, but looking at the PDF, it's actually called Fairy Fox. So Fairy Fox by Wonderland Ukraine over on Etsy. I don't know what my hand was doing. And I'm stitching this on a piece of 28 count even weave by Hobbycraft fabrics in this beautiful purple, very mottled. And when I did the floss toss with this, I was a little concerned. We've got the blues for the blueberries, and I think they look okay. But if you look at the oranges, I think that's going to look amazing. I cannot wait. I think I'll probably stitch a blueberry first just to make sure that it doesn't disappear into the background, but I think it's going to look really, really good. So Fairy Fox by Wonderland Ukraine on Etsy. Where am I going to put this? Okay, next up is Jurassic Perk by Silver Creek Samplers. This is the first Silver Creek sampler I'll ever have stitched. And this is one of those where I need my delivery to arrive because the only thread I have is the colour for those mugs. And I don't, even for me, that's not 2 days worth of stitching. So I'm going to be stitching this on the called for, which is 18 count Milk and Honey by Fibre on a Whim. And it's the first time I'll ever have used a Fibre on a Whim fabric as well. And I'll do it all in the called for colours, but in CXC. I have got a project bag arriving for this one, hopefully soon, by my absolute favourite, Turtle Bay Stitches. She has a glow-in-the-dark dinosaur project bag. And, I mean, I'm never going to be sat in the dark with my stitching, but I just couldn't resist. The next one I have had kitted for a while. I've had it kitted actually since before I even knew about CXC. So this is kitted entirely in DMC. This is Welcome to Rivendell by Country Magic Stitch. Website's just at the bottom there if you wanted to get your own. They've got a whole bunch of sort of fandom based patterns just like this. I have already started Visit Hogsmeade. It's in my whip pile and I'm planning on having them. I'm a Harry Potter fan, my husband is a Lord of the Rings fan. I'm having them sort of next to each other, side by side, if they ever get finished. So I'm doing them all on the same fabric. I'm going to do it on a piece of Zweigart 16 count Ada in pewter so that it matches. And like I say, in DMC. If you watched my last Flosstube video, you will have seen one of my most recent purchases was Megara by Make It Pink. I'm pretty sure I linked it in my last video, but I'll link it again down below. I'm going to pop a picture on the screen. I think she's absolutely stunning. And I had a time trying to think what I was going to put it on. I was going to originally put it on something like a vintage country mocha, like a distressed old Grecian's sort of colour fabric. And then I went on to the Make It Pink Sal and Support Facebook group, and I saw someone who is stitching Megara with sort of back-stitched flames in the background, and it is obviously meant to make you think of Hades. And then I thought, oh my god, I have to stitch her on something like blue, something blue that makes it look like Hades, and I'm going to put those flames in the background and it's going to look incredible. I've started putting some of the floss that I do have up against it, and I think it looks fantastic. I'm going to be stitching her on some 36 count Picture This Plus Mystic. And this is my first piece of Picture This Plus. And I just think she's going to look amazing with some sort of, maybe some silver Krynic backstitched flames. Who knows? I mean, that's going to be the last part of the project, so I might never ever get there. Got a couple of the colours. So that's Megara by Make It Pink on a piece of Mystic. And she'll be stitched all in CXC with the called for Krynic and the called for beads. Next one that I've got is a freebie. I will link the blog that you can find them on down below. It's called the Snowflower Diaries Joyful World. And I know it's a freebie, but I won't show you the full pattern. And it's just a selection of little animals with the months of the year. And as you can see, it's charted all in Gentle Arts. May and June. And what I'm going to be doing is, for the next 12 months, I'll be starting each of these months in the month that it is. That wasn't very good grammar, but you know what I mean. So as it's going to be May, I'm going to be starting May. And rather than, I have got a very, very small stash of Gentle Arts sampler threads, but rather than kitting up all of these colours, I've decided to just get the animals in the Gentle Arts, and then the rest I will convert to DMC. So here's the toasted barley for the cats. The walnut for the bear. I'll just keep doing that for all of the patterns that are coming up. And you know, hopefully I've got some of them in my stash, but if not, then I will ever so gradually get a little bit of a stash. With these, I'm going to stitch that on a nice big chunk of 32 count Zweigart linen in vintage cream. The next one that I've got is a kit. I picked this up at Hobbycraft. I've done so many of these kits and I absolutely love them. They're really quick. Even I can finish them. This one's called Peter's Hug Hobbycraft kit. It's done on 14 count blue Ada and it comes with the hoop and everything. So I will hopefully get that. I don't think I'll be able to do it in 2 days, but I will get this finished and put up on my daughter's wall along with the other ones that I've done. And it's really cute. I showed this in my last video as one of my acquisitions from last time. This is one of those that I have absolutely none of the colours for, so it may or may not be started in May depending on my delivery. My first ever Primrose Cottage stitches. This is Be Nice. It says Be Nice or Buzz Off. And I'm stitching it on the called for, which is 25 count white Lugana. Now, this is a 16th yard, so it's more than enough for this. The sample is stitched 2/2 on the 25 count, which is what, 12.5 count when you come to the stitches. And I don't know how I feel about it. I'm debating whether I do 1/1. Let me know what you think. Is that going to be really tiny? It's 80 by 38. Yeah, it'll only be like an inch tall. Inch and a bit. I'll have a think on that. It might be a moot point. Because I need the threads. Yes. Primrose Cottage stitches, Be Nice on the called for 25 count white Lugana. The next one I have is one that I've had kitted up for a little while. This is a magazine chart. You've probably already seen it. So it's the Peter Rabbit cover chart from the World of Cross Stitching, October 2022. It's called Hide and Peep. Just do that. And I'm doing it on almost the called for fabric. It calls for 14 count. I've gone for a 32 count even weave to do 2/2. Got all of the CXC threads and the Fabric Flare Shades of Autumn printed even weave. First time I've ever used Fabric Flare, first time I've ever used printed fabric. So I'm looking forward to getting that done. And I'm going to do a centre start so that I've got as much of this fabric around the outside so that if I ever come to frame it, I still get some of that background. I'm going to be storing that in a project bag I made myself last night. You can see I'm not a pro with my iron, nor with my sewing machine. It's this is the third thing I've ever sewed, so I'm pretty happy with it. I'm quite proud of myself. There's the inside fabric. So yeah, he's going to live in there. The next projects I've got are a bit of a trio. I know you'll have seen all of these because they are everywhere. This is the Cottage Garden Samplings series, A Year in the Woods. I have started the fox twice already. They have both been UFO'd, and this May I am going for lucky number 3. I originally wanted to stitch all 12 on one large piece of fabric, so I bought, per the background, a really nice big piece of, I don't know what it was called, let me have a look at my notes. Pearl grey Zweigart even weave linen. Bought a massive piece, started the fox, got a little bit of progress on that, and then more of the parts of the series started coming out. And you know, you've got the little brown bat who's mostly black and grey, and I thought some of these animals are just not going to show up on this grey fabric that I've purchased. So I went onto the website, had a look at what they recommended for doing all of them on, and purchased the recommended vintage country mocha and restarted the fox on that top middle so that I could put all of them on it. Got to about the same point on the fox and thought, I have no idea what the heck I'm going to do with this massive piece of fabric with 12 animals stitched on it when it's finished. I'm not going to frame it. I have no idea how I would go about putting it on a wall tapestry or anything like that. And then I thought, well, you know what I would really like to do? I'd really like to have individual ones so that I can swap them out each month and not have to find a gigantic piece of wall space to put it on. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stitch them all individually. I have got that original piece of Zweigart Pearl Grey, and that's what I'm going to stitch the fox on. I'm using, where there are either Gentle Art or Weeks Dye Works threads in the animal, I'm going to be using the Weeks Dye Works or Gentle Arts threads. A few of them have, I'm trying to think which one it is that's got the pink flowers on it. The pink flowers are a Weeks Dye Works, and I thought, I'm not fussed about that. I'll just use the DMC conversion. But for the fox, she's got burnt orange in her actual body, so I'm going to use the burnt orange. I have that. I'm substituting the chalk for 3865, and then I'm going to be using DMC. I've got all the DMC for the fox. I'm also going to start this month, the bear. I've got the Weeks Dye Works, the Havana and Molasses for the bear. He's going to be stitched on, let me get my notes, some, this looks very similar to the grey. This is Smoky Pearl. So this is the grey, this is the Smoky Pearl. So it's a little bit bluer than the grey, the smoky. Everything's smoky. No, pearl grey, Smoky Pearl. Why is everything pearly? I don't know, just to confuse me. Smoky Pearl for the bear. And then the last one in this series that I'm going to be starting in May is going to be my favourite of all 12. It's the Barn Owl with the called for Carrot and Grits Weeks Dye Works. And this is going to be on a piece of 32 count even weave by Hobbycraft Fabrics, which is looking a little blue on the camera. But it is a lovely green, and you can see just how mottled it is. It's gorgeous. These three are all being stored in yet another, Turtle Bay Stitches bag. I will see if I can get a picture to pop on the screen of what this bag looks like in the dark, because I mentioned earlier that I've got a glow-in-the-dark dinosaur coming from her. This is the glow-in-the-dark woodland creatures, and I mean, a year in the woods. Honestly, what else could go in this bag? Really cute, and then with some fireflies on the inside. Okay, another kit that I've got definitely to start in May is my first ever Mill Hill. Again, you've probably seen this if you watched my last video. It's the Mighty Oak Quartet Fall Oak. It's not a buttons and beads, so it is done on 14 count Ada as opposed to perforated paper. I will do a buttons and beads kit on the perforated paper at some point. I just haven't got around to picking one yet. I don't know, I'm a little bit nervous about it, and I don't know why. It's part of a trio, no, quartet, because it's in the name. It's part of a quartet for all of the months. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to be doing all of the months. I mean, I like them all. They're all quite nice, but I just love this little witch with her dog in a coat walking behind her. Next, in a bag that I made myself, is Dragon in the Lilies. This is by Nadezhda Kazarina, and it's part of the Kazarina Dragon Sal that I know Lauren, Cross Stitch Bunny, and Kate, Crafty Kate, are both doing. There's somebody else that's doing it as well, and I should probably know. I don't know. I'm drawing a complete blank. I'm gonna have to pop it at the bottom of the screen. That's really annoying. I looked at this before I started filming and everything. Anyway, Kazarina Dragon Sal. I went onto MyBobbin, looked at all of the designs, could not for the life of me choose, so ended up drawing from a hat. This is the one that I picked. It makes me think of my mum. She loves lilies. This bag makes me think of that pattern with the green and blue and pink. And I'm doing this on my first piece of Chromatic Alchemy linen, even weave, in the colourway Sugar Plum. It's washing it out a little bit on camera. It is quite a deep, there we go, it's a little better colour, which, because all of the lilies and things on the pattern are back stitched in black around the outside, I do think it's going to be okay. I will start with one of the lilies to make sure that that it shows up on the background. I have got a handful of the threads that I need for that one, so I can get started. Okay, I have lost count. I don't know where we are, but maybe I'll pop the numbers on the screen so that you can keep up with me. Oh, it must be 14. Number 14. Next up, I've got Country Cottage Needleworks, the Frosty Forest series. I've got the Snowy Reindeer. I got this off a Facebook de-stash group not too long ago, and it comes with the Not Another Button Company snowflake button. And this is another one of those where the only colour that I have, let's see if I can get it to focus, is the colour for the deer's feet. That is not even 20 minutes worth of stitching, so it is literally 8 stitches. So I'm going to have to hope and pray that the delivery is made. The de-stash also sent through a piece of fabric. I'm going to assume that this is the called for, which is 32 count pearl grey, because apparently pearl colours is my thing. It's the theme of May, so I will stitch it on that it was sent through. I have a couple of the other ones. I've decided I'm not going to try and collect the whole series, but I'll stitch the sort of handful I've got, make them into flat ornaments and hang them on my tree. I'm just not going to overwhelm the tree with them. Okay, and then last up on my list of 15 planned starts is Ghostly Mandala by Ink Circles. It's my first Ink Circles. I'm really looking forward to getting this one started. It's another Coffee Craft fabric. It's a 32 count even weave this time, in sort of a very subtle purple hint to it, but mostly sort of a white grey fabric with my first ever silk. It's a Dinky Dyes in Sugar Plum. So some sort of grey-white ghosties outlined and with purple eyes. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting that one started. And I've got everything for that, so that could be my first start of May. I don't know. Let's see how I feel on the 1st of May. Okay, and then I will just show you my 2 alternates, I suppose. I've got a couple of kits. I have a Dimensions kit that's on the way that I found going for a bit of a bargain on eBay, so that's arriving and I can throw that in there into the mix if I need to, but hopefully I won't. First one I've got is a Letistitch kit. This is called Cottage Pond. It's a full coverage and it only uses full cross stitches, no back stitch, nothing fancy on this, which I do really love about it. It'd be really, really interesting. And my other alternate is a Panna kit. And I honestly am a little bit intimidated to start this one. This is the kit cover. I believe it translates to Summer Wreath. And I don't know if you'll be able to tell from the picture, but all of these blueberries are just beads. There are ribbon stitched into the fabric down there, and then I don't know if you can tell from the picture, at the bottom there are wooden beads that are wrapped in thread to make them look like berries. And there are just so many techniques in this. There's the ribbon for making leaves with. There's beads upon beads upon beads. And that's all stitched on. I don't know. The instructions are all in what I believe to be Russian, so your guess is as good as mine. But it is some kind of even weave. Maybe 20 count. So, yeah, I'm going to do it at some point. But there's a reason that I didn't put it in for 2 days worth of progress, because I think I would just get myself completely lost if I tried to just do this for two days. I think it needs a bit more of my care and attention. I mean, everything's in Russian. So yeah, with a bit of focus, I'm sure it'll be fine. Someday. And there we have it. That is my entire Maynia plans. My Maynia starts. I'm looking forward to catching up with you in a couple of weeks for my April roundup. I have some whips to show you. I have a fair amount of haul, which if you watch this video you will have seen, but I'll be able to go through where I've purchased it from and all that kind of thing in that video. And there are some things that I have acquired that I haven't shown, so it'll be great to get those out. If I don't see you at the end of April for my April roundup, I will see you at the end of May for my May roundup, which will show you all of the progress I get on all of these projects in May, with 2 days worth of stitching on each. And that's all from me. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed what you saw, and I will see you soon. Happy stitching!